How about giving the Autobots a little extra flying power? A pteranodon.
And here is a look at everything out of the box. So now let's go over them, starting off with my favorite, the bio card that has the same artwork on the front of the box. And the back, you could see the nice silhouette of Swoop in his Dino Alt mode with the tech spec. So here you could see what his specs are. Done in the credit card shape plastic, which I guess is nice. And then here is his instructions sheet. And let me just share a few things here. Like with all my figures, I actually like to take the time to transform it with no instructions. That way I have a better understanding of how it was engineered for the transformation. And I could tell you, for the most part, the transformation on this is a little bit easy. It's just this does have little issues here and there, such as the tight tolerance, and there's an area that I had to kind of loosen up because it was really tight. Fortunately, it was with a screw, but I'll point that out later. And then here you could see they did give you a sword that's just all red, not painted. So this one captures the original G1 toy, the sword that it comes with. Yeah, so I guess that's nice. And then he does come with a pair of open hands. So here you could see what these look like. And it does have some articulation so the wrist can open up. So that's a nice little accessory. And then he does come with the display stand, which this does not function very well. I'll just point out real quick that, you know, these don't articulate. You have to basically untab it and reposition them in the position that you want it to be. So as nice as it is that they gave you a display stand, it functionally doesn't work all that well. But he does come with a display stand. And then here is a look at the figure. Yeah, so there's a lot of things I want to say, but first, you know, I'll just point out the positive. It is nicely sculpted, nicely proportioned, and functionally, yeah, it does have a good amount of articulation. Yeah, I'll go over more of that in detail later. So now let's compare this with the animation model. And here, yeah, you could see the differences. And I'll just point out the thing that does bother me the most, which is the color of his thighs. They should be white like in the cartoon. They did use a lighter shade of gray, but it's not light enough because it kind of blends in with the other grays, so it's kind of has this fused gray look to it. And like with everything, I always try to point out why, so you have a better understanding. And my best guess is that it has to do with their other Dinobots. Here, I'll just bring one out for example. You know, this is the original G1 toy. It's supposed to be chrome plated, but here in the cartoon it's white. But here on the figure, they actually chose to go a lighter gray. And I think for the sake of consistency, you could see, I think they stayed with the same color. So that's my best guess, is that the reason why this is not white is because they wanted to stay consistent with the other Dinobots and keep the same color. But as far as the back goes, you could see, I think they did a nice job cleaning things up. They did give you the little tail back here, which is nice. But again, the issue I have is the color they chose to use here, this light gray when it should be white. Like the original G1 toy was also like this chrome plated finish. But yeah, overall I think it's nice. And yeah, the main thing for me is that now we have another character to complete our Dinobot collection, and it is nicely sculpted, nicely proportioned. So here is a look at Swoop in his robot mode. And now let's zoom in and take a closer look at all the detail, starting off here with his head. So here you could see his head is nicely sculpted. The face, particularly the lips, yeah, he looks a little sad. But yeah, it's a nicely sculpted head. And in terms of the articulation, the head can go up, it can go down a little, it can rotate side to side, all around, because it's on a ball joint. And then the shoulders, you could see they can go out to the side, they can go forward and back. And you could see these hinges here. They did give you a butterfly joint and actually a reverse butterfly joint, which I think works better on this side. So that's kind of cool. I think that is meant to go reverse because these hinges here, that's not a part of the transformation. So I'm not sure if that was done on purpose so he could bend his shoulders back, but that's cool. And he does have a bicep swivel. He does have a elbow joint that goes past 90 degrees. He does have fist rotation. And his hips, he does not have hip rotation until you engage the ab crunch. And now you could see he does have a hip rotation. He does have a ab crunch, reverse ab crunch. And yeah, I think I should just speak to this really quick because I know there's some people out there like me that are kind of curious as to why they designed it this way, this parting line here which breaks up the sculpt. Yeah, so I'll just be honest, that does not look very good in terms of the aesthetics, it breaking this sculpt. And here I'll just speak to this really quick too, because I don't understand what was their design choice in having a faux beak instead of using the actual beak that's back here, which is the typical transformation in the cartoon and the other toy versions. This is basically the front of his beak. So why they choose to create a faux beak, I don't know. Was that all simply for the articulation? Because if it was, that's not really a good argument when you compare this with New Age. But yeah, for the most part, he does have a hip rotation and an ab crunch going both ways. And he does have these hip skirts that sometimes gets in the way, or it's not gets in the way, but it doesn't function very well. It's just like their other figures that use this design. But yeah, once you can get it out of the way, his legs can go forward and back a little. He does have thigh rotation, and he does have a nice double jointed knee bend, so you can get some cool flying poses out of it. And then when you come down to the feet, he does have ankle tilt, and he does have a toe tilt down, but not really a toe tilt up unless you kind of break the sculpt here. So overall, I think it's a good amount of standard articulation with the extra butterfly joint. Just functionally speaking, this area doesn't work very well in terms of keeping the aesthetics. You're basically compromising the structural integrity of this piece here. But yeah, it's nothing to complain about too much. It's just something that, yeah, it's just a little annoying. But yeah, that's just the way they made it. So yeah, here is a look at Swoop in his robot mode.
Me Grimlock smart, inspire dumb dinosaurs fight too.
And now for some comparisons, let's bring out the leader of the Dinobots, their version of Grimlock. So here you could see what these two look like next to each other. Like I said already, the sculpt, the proportions are done really well, so they look good together because both of them are done really well. And then for another comparison, let's bring out Slag. So here you could see what these three look like together. And like I just said, the sculpt and the proportion on all their Dinobots are done really well. So they actually look really nice. And they do look like they stepped right out of the cartoon. And then for one last comparison, let's bring out the other Dinobot that we have so far, which is Sludge. And now you can see we have a group shot here, and now you could see what all these guys look like next to each other. This is a nice set. Of course, we're now just missing Snarl, and then that will complete this set. So far, you know, I'm really happy. They look nice, as long as I keep Swoop straight so I don't break this sculpt of his beak on his chest. But yeah, here's a look at all the other Dinobots that we have so far. And I'm not going to do extra work and bring out the original G1 or the Studio series or the Masterpiece, stuff like that anymore, because I'm doing more work than what's really needed. But here I'll bring out the New Age version. So here you could see the difference between the two, and I laugh because look at the nice white thighs, and even when you come to the back, look at the color difference here. Yeah, this one just captures the cartoon aesthetics a little bit more accurately. And I didn't point out every single thing, but here I'll just point out a little bit more since I have the comparison here. You always hear me complain about the black. Well, yeah, that's especially when it doesn't match the cartoon. And you could see with New Age, they chose to go with the dark gray. So this is more tune accurate. And then there are little other details, such as, you know, there were some scenes where Swoop, you know, in robot mode, you could see the eyes on the beak. And here it's missing, but there are some times in the cartoon where he doesn't have the eyes on the beak. And then there are some scenes in the cartoon where you could see a little bit of the red that's supposed to be part of the I don't know what you call it, the cheeks. And yeah, and then sometimes they don't have it, which you don't have it here. So yeah, you can't really say for sure, because you know that's one of those cartoon issues where sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But just pointing out the differences. Yeah, and I'll just be a little bit more nitpicky. You could see the little slot in there. I don't know why it's there, because that's not part of the transformation. But the main thing is this actually changes the shape here, because now it's not just this rectangular shape with the little box on top. Now you have that little box on the side. That's not accurate. It should be like this, just like they did on the yellow part up here. But anyways, you know me, I can go on and just point out every single thing. But yeah, I'm just pointing out just some things that, yeah, just I wish was done a little bit differently. But here, for the most part, here I just wanted to show you the comparison with New Age. Both of these actually look really nice. It's just the New Age obviously looks nicer because it has that nice paint. So you could see the nice reflections. So these kind of capture, I don't know if you're going to understand, the scenes from like the cartoon where they have all the nice reflections and stuff. And this one, yeah, it's kind of missing, you know, those nice little highlight reflections from the light. But other than that, like I said, both of these are done really well. And when you bring out the other Dinobots, yeah, he looks good with the other Dinobots. So now, with all that said, now let's go ahead and transform Swoop to his Dino Alt mode and take a look at that.
Okay, Swoop, transform! Ratchet, recalibrate the resistance rating. Try it now, Swoop. Good. Well, boys, we did it.
Okay, to transform Swoop from robot mode to his alt mode, here I'm going to do the transformation a little bit different. I'm going to try to refrain from pointing out things here and there, which I feel is helpful to know when you're manipulating and transforming this so that you transform it correctly. So basically I'm trying to find a way to transform it faster, like your other popular YouTubers who criticize other transformation videos out there, saying you only need to watch his video. But ironically, his transformation's not correct and he actually broke figures again and again. But anyways, here to transform this, you want to lift up his arm, straighten it out, grab the sides of his forearm and pull down on his hand to bring down the back panel of the forearm, and then fold in the hand and then lift up that back panel of the forearm up all the way like so, and then come to the other side, do the same thing, lift up the arm, grab the sides of his forearm to make it easier to pull down his hand and bring down that panel, and then fold in the hand and then lift up that panel in all the way. And then here you want to push up the forearm into the shoulder, and here you want to make sure it's straight, because if you have it in an angle you could see it's kind of in the way there. So make sure it's straight and then push it up. Do the same on the other side. Push the forearm up into the shoulder like so. And then here you want to spread the arms out a little bit just to give some clearance. And then come to his head, rotate that around 180 and come to his back, and you want to pull down the back to untab it. It does tab in, and then pull back more to extend it on this armature piece. And then here you could see the real head, so lift that up and cover Swoop's head. And here, let me just point out, it is on a double hinge, so use that double hinge to make sure it gets lined up correctly. It doesn't tab in, so it's kind of staying in by friction. And then come back to the front, and you want to now lift up this faux beak, which it does tab in here on the side, so lift that up. And then come to the bottom of his chest, and there's a little gap there, just enough for you to untab it and lift it up on both sides. And then here you want to bring down the sides of his chest. But when you do, there's these two panel pieces on the top that might go in, and they do need to go in. So here I'll just try to show you. You need to bring these side pieces down, and when you do, you might accidentally fold these panels down, but that's okay, because those panel pieces on the top need to come down anyways. And then when you come to the side here, you could see there's a panel piece that you want to flip out on both sides. So basically the top panel pieces you want to fold in, and on the bottom two panel pieces you want to fold out. And after you got that done, now here, come back to the back, and this armature piece, you want to pull this and make sure you get a good grip of his abs so you don't loosen up the ab crunch. And you want to pull back. Let's see, you want to pull back, and when you pull back, you could see this is coming up. This piece is on a double hinge, and you basically need to pull up this piece all the way. So you could see right there, there's that double hinge. And this is an important step of the transformation. You need to bring it up, and make sure you bring it up all the way, because you can't have it just a little bit. It needs to be up all the way just to have the transformation work correctly. And then after you got that done, then you could take this whole headpiece, rotate it around 180 on the base, and then now we can fold up the two side chest pieces. Those panel pieces you folded down, that's to have the clearance for this neck piece. And make sure that gets in all the way. And when you bring it up, now you could see there's that mushroom tab here that connects. So it's basically a over-under tab. So you come to the bottom and you make sure you get that tabbed in. Once you got that tabbed in, let's see, make sure you get everything all lined up and straight here. Tabbed in on the bottom. And then you can basically now bring this down. There's a tab in the slot, a tab in the slot. Also, basically you want to push down till it tabs in nice and flush, like so. And then now you could bring the arms in together. You could see there's a slot for the tab here. And here now you just bring the arm down, tab that in on both sides, and here make sure you get it tabbed in all the way by giving it a good squeeze, because you don't want this to come untabbed as you're manipulating the other parts. But now we got that. Now we come back to the back and fold this down, and this part sometimes gets difficult. So here, just to get some clearance so you could see, we can unfold his wings. So I can point out, you could see there's a slot here for that blue tab right there. And then when you bring the wings down, there's this tab, not this one, but the inner one tab that goes into the slot right there. And then there's a little slot here for the crest of the beak right here. So you want to basically get this tabbed in, this blue piece, and here you also want to get those gray tabs in, but also get this crest piece lined up in like so. And if you got it all done, you could see that it will be tabbed in nice and flush, like so. And then now we could come back down to the bottom, his legs. And here, I'll just go through it. You just bend his leg, and you could see that it brings out the heel. And then you want to lift up this panel piece on the back. And now here you want to grab the front and the back and untab it and come to the front here. This yellow piece, you want to untab that so that you could slide this leg down. After you got that done, now tab this yellow piece back in, and then you want to grab this piece. You could see that circle. It needs to accordion in here. So tolerance is really tight. So you lift this up and you're gonna push this down and in here. It's a little hard because, like I said, the tolerance is really tight. And here you want to make sure you get it in all the way. Otherwise, the rest of the transformation won't work very well. All the way. And then close that panel piece back up. And then the foot, you just bring his foot down and use that to untab the back. And in here, there's that little black cover you want to bring out, and yeah, this is a little hard to get out, but I was able to get it out. So bring that out, and then you fold in the toe, and then fold this all back in. And here you have to give a little force to get that tabbed in, like so. And then just to complete this, here obviously the leg's supposed to come up and over, but if you see, it doesn't line up. This needs to come down a little bit. That's what this hinge here is for. So here you want to, if you could see that little hinge, you want to untab this, and you could see now it's pushing out. Now you could see this can lift up and over, lined up. So now here there is the tab right here that's going to go into the slot right there. So now you just use the double hinge to get it lined up, tabbed in, and once you get it tabbed in, give it a good push all the way, like so. And now we got this piece done. So go ahead, do the same on the other side. I'll do it off camera and be right back. Now here I'll show you again, but first let's bring out the tail, so to make it a little easy. So bring out his tail, and now I'll do the same here. And here, same thing. So bend his leg, which will bring out the heel, and then you want to grab the front and the back here to untab this, like so. And then here you want to untab this yellow piece so that now you could slide his leg down. And once we got that, now we can open up this panel piece here, and then we need to accordion this in. And I was telling you that circle needs to go in, and the tolerance is really tight, so you need to lift up, push in and back, and make sure it gets in all the way, the emphasis all the way. And then once you got that in, then you can close that panel piece back up. And then come to the bottom, his foot, just bring that down and use that to push up to untab it here. And then here, that black piece you want to bring out, and yep, just like I thought, it's really hard to get out. This is where you need a spudger or something to bring that piece out. Once you bring it out, then you could fold in that toe and then fold this whole foot in. And here you want to make sure you push down all the way till that snaps in place. And then you need to untab it here on that joint. So now this leg will line up here. And now you rotate this up. This tab needs to line up with that slot. So use the double hinge to help guide this tab in. Once you get that tabbed in, give it a good push all the way. And I think I forgot to tell you that you need to fold up this yellow piece after you pull down this piece. And now we have Swoop in his alt mode, and this little piece here you can actually fold this up, but if you want to use the display stand that they gave you, you want to kind of keep it down, because you could see there is a little slot there, and that's basically to kind of have them here. And then you could put this in, and let's just do a little detail here. His mouth, his beak, it's really hard to open this, but yeah, got that open, and now we can put him up here. And now after all that, now we have Swoop transformed into his alt mode. And now let's compare this with the animation model, so you could see how well they capture the toon aesthetics. Here, I'll just let you take a look, and you could see the difference between the two. For me, the thing that kind of bugs me, like I already mentioned, the wings, they should be a lighter shade of gray, almost like white. But more specifically now, you could see the cheek. I don't know what it is. It should be red there. And because they designed it this way, it's all like yellow. And yeah, I could see, you know, Magic Square is not the kind that's gonna, you know, paint that red, but I think they should have. And I could be a little nitpicky with the details too. The eyes, it's just painted blue. Swoop actually has like pupils in his eyes, so it is a little off. But yeah, for the most part, the shape and the sculpt, the proportions are done really nice. And then from the back view, you could see it's done fairly well. For the most part, it's pretty accurate, so I can't really complain too much about that. And then yeah, but what does bother me, if you could see the bottom, this piece is not supposed to be there. This is just the consequence of the way they designed the transformation to have like a faux beak on here. But yeah, I guess overall it's still done really nice, except again the cheeks should be red. So yeah, that's really my only issues with this figure. But overall, I think it's a nice figure in terms of the shape and the sculpt, the proportion. And this thing, I already mentioned, doesn't function very well. Doesn't even stay tabbed in all that great either. So here is a look at Swoop. And now let's do this. Let's just quickly go over the figure in more detail. So his beak, you could see it is nicely sculpted, but functionally speaking, once I close this, look at this, is really hard to open. They should have put like a little nub so you could flick this open, kind of like here, I'm gonna show you here, like they did with his heel. If you could see the little nub right there, so you could easily just flip this and then you could pull this out, not this piece out. And yeah, maybe they just missed that or something, but the point is, functionally speaking, it's hard to open his beak. So here what I'm doing is actually trying to get my nail in there. I don't have any nails, but yeah, you could see he does have a nice beak. And here I just noticed they did give you a little slot there for a blast effect, so that's kind of cool, but you didn't get any blast effects. And then there are some tune and extra sculpted in detail, which looks nice. It's not overly detailed, so I like how they kept that simple. And I already mentioned this in Robot, those little slots there, I don't like that. It's kind of changing the shape of this detail. And then his feet, is interesting. It does look like it was painted, or is it? No, it's the gray that's painted. But yeah, instead of rambling here, I'll just tell you, it is a nicely sculpted figure. It does have articulated wings, but that's probably for the transformation. But yeah, here is a look at Swoop in his alt mode. So now let's do some more comparisons. Now let's bring out some of his other Dinobots. So let's first bring out Grimlock. So here you could see what this looks like. Let me see if I can come down a little bit to get a group shot here. They look really nice together. And then now let's bring out Slag. And I'm laughing because, yeah, I always like to share things. Transforming these guys was not fun, and that's all this extra work I really don't like doing anymore. But yeah, you could see what he looks like with the other Dinobots. So this kind of captures the movie, because Snarl didn't really show up in the movie, just maybe a couple of scenes in the movie. But here you could see this actually does look really nice. And let me see if I can turn these guys so you can get a group, more angles here. Let's see, and yeah, functionally speaking, I think you already know, tolerance here is not done very well, so you kind of have to be careful when you're moving sludge. Yeah, so main thing I just wanted to show you, it does look nice despite, my complaints about the color of the gray, being a little bit too dark instead of being white to be more tune accurate. It still looks really nice. And I'll just say something else. These legend scale, or I call mini masterpiece, these are actually really fun. And something I was thinking about that I also wanted to share was you can appreciate your collection much more in this smaller scale, because the masterpiece, the fans toys, which are really nice, the old design, you can't really get like a group shot like this with the masterpiece scale. You're basically only getting to see the figures individually, but here, because they're so small, you can get all of these like in a nice shot. So here's a look at the Swoop with his other Dinobots. And for another comparison, let's get these guys out and see if I can very carefully bring in the New Age version. And I say carefully because this stand doesn't function very well to stay tabbed in. But here, let's see if we can come up and get a better view of these two so you could see the difference between these two. Yeah, so here, yeah, you could see the difference. I have to be honest, the New Age does look nicer just because of the lighter color wings. And also here you could see his cheek does have that red instead of the yellow up here. But again, I'm just saying it many times. The positive is, it's nicely sculpted and proportioned. So from that aspect, it definitely captures the toon aesthetics, and it looks really nice with the other Dinobots. So here is a look. I don't know if I'm getting a good shot because they look really small because of the wings. Here's a look at that. And here I just thought I'd bring out the KO of the G1, but this one has the nice blue instead of the red. And I just lost that missile. Now I'm gonna have to go find it, but it does have the firing missiles. Yeah, I never really liked the transparent piece, but here I just thought I'd show you what he looks like with the original G1, but the KO, that's more toon accurate. So with that, I know I already went over my time, so I'll just end my review here and just give you my final thoughts. Overall, I am happy with this figure, despite all the complaints I made about the color, of the thighs and the wings being a little too gray instead of white, and then the little detail here where it's his cheek is yellow when it should be red. And then there are other issues in terms of the form and function, when you're manipulating it, trying to transform it. It's this particular figure that they made, the tolerance causes some difficulty. You just need to be aware of it so you know how to get around it, and it's not that bad. And then the engineering, I laugh because I'm not really a fan of their design to have a faux beak because you know you get these things as a consequence, or in robot mode you get a little bit of the yellow showing in the back. But you could say I'm being nitpicky, but I'm just clearly pointing out things that doesn't really work so well. But it's not like major issues that raises concerns such as breakage or anything like that. As long as this fits in well with the other Dinobots, I'm really happy. So I'll just leave it at that and just tell you that overall this is a really nice figure, and I'm happy to get it and looking forward to the final Dinobot Snarl.
Grimlock! Swoop see Decepticons on Dinobot Island!